everybody, welcome back to the HUBient channel. My name is Nikki and I'm so glad that you clicked on this video today. As you can tell from the thumbnail and the title of this video, today I will be talking to you guys about overcoming beginner's anxiety. Now initially I was going to call this video like how to prepare for dance class, mainly because I have a lot of friends that have been asking me if one, whether or not I teach adult classes, and two, if I do, like, how do they prepare for it? They're so nervous, they're so shy, they're, having second thoughts because they've never tried dancing before. However, despite the fact that I wanted to share these things with you, I realized not everyone, wants to take up dance class. So when I was going through my tips, I realized that you could follow these tips regardless of what you want to start doing. And another thing that I've realized is a lot of people might be going through beginner's anxiety, specifically because we're coming back from a pandemic where we were stuck at home for like 2 years. So for example, it took me a while to kind of regain my confidence in socializing. I used to be such a social butterfly, but the pandemic changed it big time. So it took me a while to kind of like come out of my shell again. So a lot of these tips I actually used for myself as well, and I'm really happy where I am, and I feel super confident and just really satisfied overall. So for a fact that these tips are I genuinely recommend them because these are things that I've done for myself. But before that, I would love to know, how are you coping with everything kind of quote unquote going back to normal after the pandemic? I'm still at a 50-50. Don't get me wrong, I'm super happy that things are slowly going back to normal, but like I said, the pandemic has changed my personality big time. I used to be a huge extrovert, but because of the pandemic, I kind of leaned more towards the introverted side, and it took me a while to climb back up to being an extrovert. And it's still a work in progress, but baby steps. Foreshadowing. But let me know how you've been taking going back to normal in the comments down below. And while you're down there, I hope you don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the HUBient channel, and ring that bell so you're notified every time I upload a brand new video. Alright, so these are tips that I normally give to my friends when they want to take up a new hobby. I guess more specifically when they want to try taking up dance class but they're too shy or too nervous. These are the tips I give them. I also say these to my adult students because I teach beginners adults. I don't share these tips with kids because kids have a lot of room in their heads still that haven't quite been filled yet by societal constructs. So the idea of being humiliated whenever they make a mistake, to them it's just and what about it? If a kid trips, all they think about is ow, and then they get back up and start playing again. Whereas we adults, if we were to trip in public, the first thing that crosses our mind is, oh my god, I hope no one saw that. Right? It's really, I totally understand why a lot of people get anxious about trying new things, because so did I. When I started teaching, I was so nervous. I still am. But baby steps, again, foreshadowing. It's a process, and you have to trust the process. Honestly, I hate that saying because I have trust issues. Just kidding. But it's true. You have to trust the process. So, on to my 5 tips. Number 1, remember that everybody starts somewhere. I know there are some instances where you can pick up a hobby or just try something new and suddenly you're like, whoa, I'm actually pretty good at this. That's perfectly fine, and that's normal. You can be good at something that you try for the first time, but you're not going to be perfect the first time, right? So it's perfectly fine if you're good at something or if you're bad at something, because regardless of where you start, you're never at the top. So you need to work your way up. So again, remember that everybody starts somewhere. It doesn't matter if you start here or here or here or here. What matters is you're gonna go there, up there. Tip number 2, go in with an empty mind. Now, the reason why I say this is because at this point in life, I'm not saying we know everything, but we've had a few years of experience and we've gone through a lot of things. We've felt a lot of things. We've done a lot of things. And so we have a lot of experiences, memories, thoughts in our head. And sometimes there's just no more room for something new because we're thinking too much about something that happened in the past, which is fine because, yeah, learn from your past, but you're supposed to be in the now. You're doing something new. Go in with an empty mind, It's new for a reason. You want to do something new, you want to do something different from what you've done before. Go in with an empty mind. There's no reason for you to be so worried about what happened before because this is new. And I guess a good example, question mark, would be when a kid trips, if it doesn't hurt really, really, really bad, because if a kid trips and it hurts really badly, they're gonna start crying, obviously, because it hurts. But if it's not a super bad fall, sometimes they'll look around at the adults to see how they're supposed to react. And again, that's what I mean. There's space for them to learn what they're supposed to do because no thoughts had empty. No, I'm kidding. But genuinely, you're not going to be able to try something new if you're thinking too much about what you have learned before. Take in the environment, learn, allow yourself to absorb like a kid again. Kind of in relation to tip number 2, tip number 3, if it helps you, go ahead and do some research. Now you might be wondering, Nikki, this is so contradicting. You literally just told us to go in with an empty mind. Let me explain. When I say go in with an empty mind, I mainly mean prejudices. Prejudices that have been formed in your head because of societal constructs, like I said, in relation to kids having a lot of space in their heads. Less space in their heads. That makes, now that I'm visualizing it, that doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. When you remove those prejudices, that's when you're going in with an empty mind. So for example, a lot of my friends feel really nervous about taking dance class because they know that you should be starting it from a young age, which, yes, it is incredibly beneficial if you start any hobby from a young age, whether it be basketball or playing the piano or singing or dancing or even art like drawing and painting. Everything is beneficial when you have a lot of years of experience. There's no lying about that. However, you don't necessarily have to start when you're 2. You can start, I just remembered. I started riding a bike when I was 17. I learned how to ride a bike at 17. A lot of people learn how to ride a bike at 4, 5. I learned at 17, which again, looking back, is still quite young, but it's never too late. Don't think about what other people are saying. Go in with an empty mind. It doesn't matter because there's nothing we can do about it anymore. That's the thing. Yeah, sure, it's beneficial if you start early, but you can't turn back time. The only thing you have is now, the time now and tomorrow and the rest of your life, which is, I hope everybody watching this has a long life. Tip number 4, remember that everybody is really busy working on themselves to be busy with judging you. This is something I start with my teens. I don't really tell my preteen students this yet because they have yet to start behaving that way, but I've noticed that my teens onwards, when I ask them to dance in class, I can see that they get really nervous about what their friends are going to think, which is totally understandable. I have been in those shoes. I get it. But I do tell them, don't think about what your friends are thinking because honestly, what they're thinking about is the steps. They're just thinking about the choreography. And so in a more broad example, people are not using the space in their head to judge you. They're using the space in their head to make themselves better, to work on themselves. That's just the reality of a lot of things, honestly. This is not to say that people don't have opinions. They still will, but don't bother, because chances of them really going out of their way to judge someone is kind of slim, because like I said, at this point, people are just working on themselves, and as you should be too. Sorry. Wow, that was so stuttered. You should just be thinking about making yourself better. And honestly, when you reach that point, when you're just thinking about making yourself better, other things don't faze you. You see someone doing something weird, it's just okay, you do you. It do be like that sometimes. There's just no room to judge people because you're busy working on yourself. And everyone else is like that too. They don't have the room or the time of day to be judging other people because, well, oftentimes most people are too busy judging themselves, which is not healthy, but it's like that. I like to word it a bit better. Hopefully people are working on themselves instead of just judging themselves, because judging yourself too much is unhealthy. But yeah, that's essentially how I see it. My last tip, as I kept foreshadowing, baby steps. This is so generic, cliche, whatever you might want to say, but baby steps. It's a slow climb. It's like I said initially with the first part, everybody starts somewhere. That was my first tip, right? Yeah. You're not immediately perfect. Whether you start out kind of not great or whether you start out incredible, you're still gonna have to work towards being better. And to be better, it takes baby steps. It's not always one grand, big improvement. It's improvement. The most effective improvements are the ones that are done slowly, gradually. Don't take it to heart if after 2 days you don't see incredible improvement, because things really do take time, honestly. Baby steps. Don't rush into things, because when you rush into things, then you put pressure on yourself to get it right immediately, and then when you don't, then you don't want to do it anymore. So take it easy. Baby steps. No rush. So those are my 5 tips with overcoming beginner's anxiety. Now, if you have beginner's anxiety, don't worry. I'm pretty sure almost everybody has it, because like I said, you don't just pick up a hobby and you're immediately good at it. And secondly, being nervous about something, I like to view being nervous about something as a good as a good thing, because in my case at least, when I'm nervous, it only means that I want to do good. I want to make sure that I get it right, and I want to give my best version of myself, and that's a good thing. At least I know that I'm not settling for less. At least I know that I'm not settling for mediocrity, I guess you could say. Being nervous for me is a good thing. At least I know my head and my heart is in the right place. It's in the right direction. It's just me wanting to do good and be good. So I don't like to look at negativity. I don't like to look at nervousness as a negative thing. It has negative connotations, yeah, because, like I said, you get scared and you don't know what to do, but that's why I gave these tips, so that if ever you are feeling anxious about trying something new or about something that's coming up or anything, here are a few tips. Breathe. Take it easy. Remember that everybody starts somewhere. Go in with an empty mind. If it helps, do your research. And don't forget, people are too busy working on themselves to be judging you. And also, baby steps. Let me know in the comments down below which of the 5 tips I gave is the one that stuck with you the most. Honestly, I like tip number 4 the most. I think that's something I really need to work harder at remembering, because I think too much about what other people think. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below, and while you're down there, I hope you don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the HUBient channel, and ring that bell so you're notified every time you upload a brand new video. Again, my name is Nikki, and I'm so glad that I met you here today. Until the next video, bye!